Good afternoon and welcome to Nutmeg Sports on the HAN Network. Frank Granito alongside John Kovac. Kevin Coleman will join me a little later on, Tuesday, February 20th, as we are getting closer and closer to the FCX boys postseason for the winter sports. The girls are underway, and John, we've got a lot to cover today. Girls basketball semifinals coming up. Girls hockey semifinals get underway tomorrow as the schedule continues to bounce back and forth. The boys basketball tournament down to just 3 teams battling for 2 spots now. And, of course, the boys hockey tournament took a lot more shape last night as well.
All you can ask when you come up with a schedule is that your late season games, that the last week of games is meaningful. We've got that and then some in the FCX right now. Well,
let's go back and let's talk about the game we covered last night. We were at the Dorothy Hamill skating rink, a rescheduled game between Greenwich and Ridgefield, and quite frankly, it worked out about as well as it could with these 2 teams coming in as the top 2 teams in the conference. Ridgefield playing their final conference game of the year. Greenwich with 1 more remaining against St. Joe's, and a pseudo #1 playing game here right now.
Puts a lot of eyes on the game Wednesday night where Greenwich visits St. Joe's at the rinks in Shelton, because now all of a sudden, if Greenwich wins that, they have 20 points. They're suddenly tied with Ridgefield, and they hold the tiebreaker now on head-to-head after what I thought was a real classic kind of hockey game Monday night.
It had a lot. I mean, everything you would want out of it. It was physical. It was fast. There was a lot of finesse and skill and good goaltending at times as well. I think Greenwich is going to be a heavy favorite heading into that game with St. Joe's. They played on the first game of the season, and the Cardinals took that one 10-2. This is, we saw yesterday, they're back healthy again right now. So I think you're going to see Greenwich as the #1 overall seed, which will be interesting, with the way the rest of the tournament shakes out. So they're probably staring down, a New Canaan or a Fairfield.
Right.
In round number 2. Possibly even Staples.
Possibly.
Who, with Sam Newback could be interesting, but we'll get to more of that later, obviously, and as the rest of the week shakes out, we'll have a better understanding where everyone sits. For right now, that you talked about last night, the addition of Connor Santry back on defense for the Cardinals, not enough can be said for how important he is to that whole group.
No, this is a playmaker. He is one of those guys that can take the puck in the defensive zone or the neutral zone, drive it forward, make things happen, and he did that. For his size, I find him a very agile skater. This is a guy who can dart, who can stop and start. He can do a lot of things.
And then he gets on the score sheet last night,
yep,
as that big goal in the third, but it was, we were staring down at him at one point in time, and we're just looking. I said to you, this kid is huge,
Oh, yeah.
He is a big kid.
He's a very big kid, but he moves very, very well. You dream of having a guy with size and agility and strength and stick handling skills, and well, there he is.
And then you got a guy like Nikita Kovalev playing as well as he is right now, bouncing up on that second line with Matt Davey, who had another big game as well. You think about it, they won 5-3. All Alex Mojian had was an assist on an empty net goal, so they did it with their depth scoring realistically. And congrats again to Alex Mojian, picked up his 50th point of the season last night. He's on quite a tear.
That's an incredible number. You're 50 points in 18 games. That's really impressive.
I think I topped out at 37 and 24, so no, it's really, really impressive and a good job by him. Let's look at the highlights from last night's Cardinals victory. John and I'll break it down more after this.
A good opportunity here for the Cards.
As they have the odd man rush, and Davey able to bury it under the crossbar, and the Redbirds on the board. Shot caught Simon Van Weese's shin pads. He turned it over in front of the net. Peltier Martinelli was in a scoring area but couldn't get something through. Quickly back the other way is Forrest. Leaving one behind and unable to control there was McSpedden. Cullinan down low, shovels it to himself, and the Tigers tie it up.
You listen to what I was talking with Coach Rurik in between the intermission break is that he wanted to try and slow things down on his own end, and right now it seems like Greenwich has everything going. We're going to see it go here in the Tiger zone.
Now the puck squirts in. Nash unaware of where it was. He was circling around the crease trying to find it, and it slipped right through the wickets and over the goal line.
I mean, just a true scrum in front. The puck gets underneath Nash between his pads. And I mean, as slow as grass growing, slides in between.
Is Ridgefield. Now Kovalev on it. Up ahead, and the defenseman Santry has it. Bogger to his right. Santry, the shot, he scores! Welcome back, Connor Santry.
Nifty skating, nice stop, nice shot.
And that extends the play. 4-on-4 for another 25 seconds. And then it'll be a Greenwich power play. Forrest up ahead. Forrest, Cullinan, score! Kovalev around the waiting defender to the empty net. It's a hat trick for Nikita Kovalev.
You know, when he picked up the puck in the neutral zone, he knew he had 2 goals. He was fine to that empty net.
And on top of that, it is the 50th point of the season as Alex Mosian will get credit for the assist.
I also do want to give a big shout out to JT Lawrence with the NHL 94 old school celebration there on the bench. Not used enough anymore.
Let's talk about the NHL 94. And I've got to get off my chest. I envy you. Because we do those games and you get to say Kovalev and Graves in the same sentence.
I know, right? How funny is that? Oh, man. But the Cardinals looking really, really good. I thought Ben Nash played particularly well. I caught up with Coach Gallagher after the game, and, you know, he looked at this as throwaway game sort of thing. Is what it is. You're the 1 or the 2 seed. As you mentioned yesterday, John, it's who's going to wear a white shirt.
Who's going to wear a white shirt? Because if this goes chalk, all we decided yesterday, as great as that game was, as high as the stakes were, when you boil it down, if this tournament goes chalk, which going in, everybody thinks every tournament's going to go chalk, it's going to be 1 versus 2 on March 3rd in the final. It's going to be Greenwich, Ridgefield. All you've decided is who wears the white shirt.
One big thing that really does stand out to me, and this is regarding the Division I tournament now, New Canaan upsetting Xavier yesterday 4-2. That actually might be where Coach Gallagher will want to give this game a different appreciation because Greenwich moves up from 3 to 2.
Mm-hmm.
With the loss, they would have stayed in 3rd. Ridgefield actually would have jumped all the way up into the 2nd spot. At this point in time now, you look at the state bracket, and if you're any school, you just want to say to yourself, we don't care what seed we're in, just make sure it is 2, 3, 6, 7, 10, 12, 15.
You don't want that 1-4 bracket.
You do not want to be on the Fairfield Prep side of the bracket. So Ridgefield is still sitting in 4th place now, but big opportunity coming up with Notre Dame of West Haven later on this week.
Yeah, that's going to be another good game on Wednesday. A lot of strong finishes to the season. I love the way there's some big games at the end going into the playoffs. And you look at the test that Ridgefield has. So Ridgefield played Fairfield Prep. They played Staples. They played Greenwich. And Wednesday they're going to play Notre Dame of West Haven. So now you've got, in less than a week, they're playing 4 top teams. If you're not tournament ready, by the time the FCX and the states start after that grinder.
It is really going to be, the Division I tournament, the FCX tournament. I think they're very wide open. You're going to see upsets. You'll see some good runs from FCX schools. Ultimately, everyone's chasing prep, and I stand by that in Division I. But the FCX tournament right now, Greenwich had a signature win yesterday, but you look back at their schedule, games against Northwest Catholic where you need overtime. New Canaan gets 5 on you. Darien already has an FCX win against you. No one in the conference right now, in my opinion, John, is unbeatable.
No. I think this is still a wide, regardless of who won yesterday, regardless of who goes into this number 1, it's a wide open tournament that starts Saturday.
It'll be a lot of fun. Of course, New Canaan obviously now trending up too after their big win yesterday.
That's a confidence builder going in. When you beat the #2 team in the state, you beat them 4-2.
And boy, did Dylan Shane play extremely well. Again, the rookie goaltender just continues to impress and get better and better. The FCI quarterfinals for boys hockey are Saturday afternoon, 2:40 and 4:40. We will know who's playing in those games later in the week. John, we're going to see plenty of you later in this week as well. We've got girls semifinals for hockey tomorrow night. Of course, the boys play down and the girls championship Saturday. And you're with us for the semis and finals next week as well.
That's a great day of hockey, that triple-header.
It's going to be a lot of fun. And, of course, that's a great day of basketball as well.
Yes.
And on that note, we've got to bring back in Kevin Coleman as we get ready for tonight's girls basketball semifinals. Coming up next on Nutmeg Sports on the HAN Network.
Set sail on a summertime adventure with Sail Away Sailing School. Located in Captain's Cove Seaport in Bridgeport, we're sailing June 18th through August 10th. 2 sessions offered daily, Monday through Friday for ages 9 to 15. Have fun, make friends, learn to sail. Visit teamsailaway.com.
At Pamby Motors, we're not worried about being the biggest dealership. We're focused on being the best. We're dedicated to giving you the best experience we can. The Pamby Motors team is here to help you choose the right Chrysler, Jeep, Dodge, or Ram in a friendly, pressure-free environment. And right now, during Ram Truck Month, get up to $14,000 off on all in-stock 2017 Ram 1500 pickups. Come in and see us for details. Visit Pamby Motors, Route 7 in Ridgefield, PambyZone.com.
At Budget Blinds, we're in business to frame the light, the day, and the night. So we give you an exclusive combination of high style, expert service, our no surprises pricing, and our no questions asked warranty. We believe that everyone, at every budget, deserves style and service. Isn't that a beautiful place to be?
If you've ever thought about owning a motor coach or learning about what it's like to travel the open road in superior style and comfort, then contact Dave's RV Center in Danbury, Connecticut. Offering the best quality Class A motorhomes from Newmar, travel trailers and fifth wheel lines from Surveyor, and a toy hauler line from Work and Play. Choose from Newmar's Gas Line, Baystar and Canyon Star, or from Newmar's Diesel Line, Ventana and Dutch Star. And with unparalleled service and maintenance, Dave's RV is committed to keeping you and your motor coach safely on the road and enjoying it to the fullest. Stop by their showroom, 2 Industrial Plaza Road, Danbury, Connecticut, or call 877-483-3866. If you've ever thought...
Back on the HAN Network, Nutmeg Sports. Happy to welcome in Kevin Coleman. Good to see you, brother. Obviously, you have thawed out from being down inside the glass last night. It is cold in Dorothy Hamill, buddy.
It's, you know what, you look throughout the rinks that we've been through this year, obviously the outdoor game was pretty freaking cold.
That was rough.
That was rough.
That morning skate, that Friday morning was, that was tough.
That was rough. You look at some of the other ice rinks that we've been to, that wasn't so bad. I was actually okay down ice level. I think I've experienced worse.
It was warm out yesterday, and I definitely came into the rink with it. I was shocked, actually, the ice was as clean as it was. Usually when it starts to get a little more humid out, puck starts to bounce around as you get choppy ice.
I actually thought a couple of times, a couple of skaters seemed like, well, at the end of the second period, you had Liam Galloway actually had to go sharpen his skates again behind the bench. So Coach Gallagher had to take his skates over to the equipment manager and for the Greenwich Cardinals, and they took care of it. So it was interesting just to see a couple of skaters kind of lose their step on the ice last night. But I don't know if that has to do with maybe the weather outside or just...
There definitely was the one shift, too, and it was actually before the Cullinan second goal that we had a couple of guys blowing tires, and it led to that odd man rush. But enough talk about ice. I mean, the sun is shining today. It's starting to warm up. Let's focus on the hoops. We've got big basketball games coming up tonight. Let's start with the first one. Ward and Wilton Mustangs, the 3 seed, Warriors the 2. They come in off of victories versus Ridgefield and Staples in the quarterfinals. Player you're most excited to see tonight heading into these games?
I like Claire Gulbin. I know she had 11 points in that game, but I thought overall she had a really strong game, even just taking care of the basketball, moving around the court for the Wilton Warriors. Olivia Parisi obviously has to be a player that you have to be excited to see. The performance she had against Richfield Tigers was extraordinary, 22 points. Without Libby McKenna, I thought she took over 12 points in the fourth quarter. She really had herself a great second half for the Mustangs. Those are 2 players for me. Obviously, Caroline Sweeney. It's interesting. You look at both rosters, and I think you look at I think Wilton has the more well-balanced starting 5 than Ward. But Ward has young talent that have really stepped up in the playoffs, and I thought they stepped up great coming back and getting that big win against Richfield on Saturday.
Well, you're certainly right. I mean, of the 57 points Wilton scored in their win, 54 came from their starting five. So obviously the balance there is a big advantage for the Warriors. But I think a lot like the boys team, you know, they want to be a high percentage shooting team. They're taking a lot of shots from a lot of different places. They'll test their luck behind the three-point line. God forbid they go cold. And remember how difficult these Ludlow rims were last season.
They are. And, you know, talking to Coach Conley before the game on Saturday, you know, he was actually in practice using more defenders on the court, kind of creating, he wanted his players to actually drive inside, kind of, you know, force them to not always count on the three-pointer, always count on the jump shot. He wanted them to drive inside, penetrate, actually be able to get some points inside the paint, which I think is what you saw a couple times on Saturday for the Wilton Warriors. They need to drive inside. I mean, look at Caroline Sweeney. I mean, she's got the size down low, 6 foot. She's got great height advantage down low. I think the battle between her and Olivia Parisi is going to be a good matchup to watch tonight. I want to see if Ward comes out in a man-to-man. They're going to play zone. The one thing I fear, if you're Ward, if you play a zone, that's going to free up some opportunities for Wilton to be able to put up some three-pointers. So I want to see if they go to man-to-man right away and kind of get in your face.
If you're Wilton, do you go man or zone?
I go man, and it could
really
because look at the half-court trap that they put on Saturday. I thought they did a nice job defensively. I would stick with the man-to-man trap, but and they also went back into a 3-2 trap as well on Saturday, which I liked, but I think both teams are going to come out man-to-man.
I just think if you're Wilton, I don't know why you don't commit hard to the zone. You can play the half-court trap, try to force the issue, especially with no Libby McKenna for the Mustangs, and they're having trouble getting the ball up court, but talking about a team that scored 38 points, didn't hit a three-pointer, I would give them shots all day long.
That's fair.
And play it very tight in the paint. You can have Sweeney, Tuin, Breslin, Robertson, whoever you want that rotation to be, collapsing in 2-3 girls at a time on Parisi. If someone on Ward is going to beat you, it better not be Olivia Parisi. That's all there is to it.
Right, and I think the one concern, too, and if you're Wilton, that's why I think that they go into man-to-man, play a half-court trap. It's because Ava Fitzpatrick, you know, she doesn't have that much experience bringing up the ball. I thought she did a nice job on Saturday, but if I'm Coach Colony, maybe early on, maybe set up a little half-court man-to-man trap, kind of disrupt her rhythm, kind of get her out of sync early on, maybe force some turnover, because when Wilton runs in transition, I don't know if there's a better team. You know, maybe Trumbull as well, but Wilton, man, on Saturday when they were moving in transition, they were flying up the floor.
I mean, it was a little concerning. I think you saw some of that playoff inexperience of the Warriors down the stretch. Mind you, Ellie Fair was hitting jump shots from Route 7.
Yeah,
that really helped chip away that lead. But they couldn't really find that way to close out Staples when they had him on the ropes. Yeah. Ward, on the other hand, this is a battle-tested now. Olivia Parisi mentioned this is the 4th consecutive year in her career that they have made it all the way to the semifinals. They were 7 of 8 from the free throw line in that 4th quarter. So the experience mold is there, and I think if they get into a tight game down the stretch, that will actually go in favor of the Mustangs, where so many other categories right now, you lean towards this Wilton team who's just had an incredible season.
Right, and I think you talk about experience. I think you look at Coach Danko having so many years under his belt coaching here in girls basketball in the FCAC, and I think if they're down, I still have faith in Coach Danko to be able to call a timeout, kind of fix things, kind of mold together a way to climb back and cut into the deficit if they're down in the second half. He's a coach that knows how to climb back and create a closer game in the second half if they're losing.
That'll be a great game. That first game, 6 o'clock tip-off. Kevin, I'll be on the air at 5:50 getting ready for that one. I really don't know which way I'm going to be leaning. I think it's a great contest. It's going to be a lot of fun. And compared to the second semifinal, which we're going to cover after the break, where I think we're both going to agree one team has a not definitive but an obvious edge.
Yep.
This one really could go either way. And keep in mind, earlier in the year, Wilton put it on Ward. Nobody circles the wagons like the Mustangs.
I know, and there's a reason why they're 2 and 3. This is why the 2 and the 3 are playing each other in the semifinal game. They're very similar teams. You look throughout. I think obviously you have to, experience-wise, have to give it to Ward. But if you look at a young, fast, team that's ready to put up a lot of points. That's the Wilton Warriors. So a little bit of contrast there, but it's going to be interesting to see how these two teams play together early on, especially in this game.
6 p.m. tip-off for game number 1. We got to take one more break, but when we get back, we'll cover game number 2. It's a rematch of last year's championship game. Number 1, Trumbull. Number 5, Stanford. That's next on Nutmeg Sports.
Voted Best Gourmet to Go in Fairfield County, Palmer's extensive menu offers everything you'll need to make your next event easy and delicious. Whether you're hosting a small get-together or planning a large celebration, they've got you covered breakfast through dessert. Order online at palmersdarien.com or call 203-655-2077.
Yeah, Dad.
Kyle, I need you to update the financial statements.
I took care of that yesterday, Dad.
Mac, I need you to get those deals approved.
They're all done, Mr. Miller.
Jeff, I need you to order lunch for the meeting. They can't do a thing without me.
Right now, lease a 2017 Sentra S for only $97 a month.
I'm never going to retire.
UK Gourmet is the largest specialty grocer in the area, featuring food from England, Ireland, Scotland, and Wales. Over 80 teas to choose from and a brilliant assortment of biscuits to go with them. Over 70 cheeses from grass-fed cows, which makes a smashing difference in taste. The creamiest chocolate you'll ever taste using no artificial colors or preservatives. So say hooray for UK Gourmet, 78 Stony Hill Road in Bethel, or visit ukgourmet.us.
Welcome back to Nutmeg Sports. Frank Granito, Kevin Coleman, looking ahead to tonight's girls basketball semifinals in the FCX tournament. Game number 2, Trumbull and Stanford, a rematch of last year's championship game. I was talking with someone on Saturday, Kevin, and they were very confident if Stanford, is on the other side of the bracket, they would actually be playing against Trumbull in the FCX championship. They think these are two of, if not the best teams in this whole tournament, and I think you're going to see a heavyweight slugfest tonight.
I agree. I think Stanford is maybe a little disappointed that they're on the same side as Trumbull in the bracket this year, just because they have to face them in the semifinals. It's not like they have another shot against them in the finals again, like you look at last year. But I still think this is going to be a good matchup. I think you look at this Stanford team, what they've overcome losing Alexa Kellner. I think some people thought, what's going to happen now to this Black Knights team? You lose a huge identity piece to the team, a captain, a player who's going to play at the next level.
But she's arguably going to be the player of the year in the conference. You're talking about the most talented girl in the FCAC.
Easily. And you lose her, and you got to give credit to the senior captains and Andrea O'Connor, Brooke Kelly, Kelly Jasinski. I think those three really did an excellent job of kind of rallying this team together and saying we're still a team that could easily, get to the finals again, and look what they're doing. They're punching another ticket to the semifinals, and they've been in a championship game now for the last 2 years. Coach Diane Burns has done a terrific job with this team. Stanford still is a dangerous team. You look at Wilton; they like to shoot. This is a Stanford team that likes to shoot as well. Brooke Kelly coming off a 30-point performance. Kelly Jasinski, a little quiet in that game against Norwalk, but if she gets going, she's a player that can heat up quickly. And, of course, Andrea O'Connor with the height advantage down low. That's going to be the one concern for me. I know Brady Ann Lynch is a good size down low for Trumbull. Those two will match up well. This is really going to be about Trumbull. If they can move in transition, cause turnovers like they did last year. Julie Keckler, great defensively as well, again this year. That's what it's going to come down to, I think. If Trumbull can cause turnovers, run up and down the floor, then I think it's going to be the Eagles tonight.
You're right, and my X factor for this game, would be Megan Lansadell. She's going to be running the point, controlling the offense for the Black Knights. How does she handle the press and the trap of the Eagles? She's obviously got to limit the turnovers there. She's coming off a 15-point performance in that semifinal game, which obviously seems like a tiny number compared to the 30 that Kelly put up. But her and Kelly, the two leading scorers in the game, combined 17 of 26 at the free throw line. Love it.
Love it. You mentioned Lansadell, and I think last year as a freshman, I mean, that's such a huge spotlight. Championship game, I think you saw her kind of get rattled a little bit with that half-court trap that Coach Tobich and the Trumbull Eagles put on her. And I want to see how she comes back this year. Obviously, coming back, sophomore season, full season for a freshman under her belt. She's looked more confident, able to drive inside if she wants to, and she's obviously got a great shot, great from the foul line as well. She's been working on her foul shots, which is nice during the offseason. I think she's a lot more comfortable, a lot more composed bringing the ball up this time. I don't expect her to turn the ball over as much as what happened last year to the Black Knights. So Lancelot has improved greatly, and she's only a sophomore too, which is pretty absurd. She's going to have another great junior and senior season with this girls program at Stanford.
And she's going to have her hands full too, because I mean, girls like Kelly O'Leary, Jess Lipinski, Megan Lesko, they're going to make life very, very difficult. You're right. I think Jagodzinski could be a big player in this game. But we knew earlier in the year, Kev, you know, when Kellner went down, we saw last year Kellner missed the quarterfinals with flu-like symptoms. Mm-hmm. The depth of Stanford on display and what they could do. So I don't think we were as worried, but now a different task here with Trumbull, and it is just a well-oiled machine for Coach Tobish. They do so many things well, and they do them all right. You know, I think they're too much. I think they are going to be back in the FCI championship again, looking for a second one, but Stanford is certainly a team that knows what it takes. And Coach Diane Burns will have made the adjustments off of last year to put her team in the best position out there.
Right, and I think you look at Stanford this year, I think they like that chip on their shoulder a little bit. They like how they kind of went a little, not unnoticed, but they, you know, past couple of years, they've been the 1 or 2 seed, right? So being the 5th seed, I think they kind of like that, how, you know, they're the underdogs this year. And,
it's a good win against Norwalk, too.
And
at Norwalk
as well. At Norwalk, not easy. And you beat a good Norwalk team who had a great season, finishing at the 4th seed. So you beat them, move on and take on the 1 seed. I really do think this is going to be a close game, but at the end of the day, if Stanford can't take care of the basketball, if they can't shoot foul shots, if they can't hit them, this is going to be Trumbull's game. This is the game that they're gonna want. And if they can't, you know, Trumbull has been able to have low scoring games. That's the other key too, and that's part of their great defense. They're good on the rebounds. If Stanford can box out, play disciplined basketball, and not turn the ball over, I think Stanford has a great shot tonight. But again, I agree. I think it's the depth and especially the underclassmen who are stepping up for Trumbull. I mean, look at some of these freshmen. You got Allison Palmieri, Cassie Barbado. Those 2 players alone for the freshman class are playing terrific. They're getting some great minutes for Trumbull. So I agree. I think the depth and just the way the rotation works for Coach Tobish and the Eagles is going to be a little too much, I think, at the end of the day for Stanford. But I still think this is going to be an extremely close game.
Quickly, before we run out of time here, that game is at 7:45. It'll be 20 minutes after the conclusion of game number 1 at 6 o'clock. So that start, obviously, that tip-off could vary a little bit. I just want to take 30 seconds here while we've got it. 74-69, Trumbull beats Bridgeport Central in boys basketball yesterday. That win would have gotten Central into the tournament. Instead, it shakes up everything, especially with Wilton losing in overtime to Stanford. Wilton now 9th, Central is 8th, Trumbull 7th. Central has 1 more game left in FCX play. It's at McMahon. Win, and you're in. Trumbull has got Danbury. Win, and you're in. Wilton will take on Ludlow. Win, and you need a little help.
Yeah, I think they need Trumbull to lose, right?
They need Trumbull or Central to lose.
Is that Trumbull game at home against Danbury? Do you know?
No, I think it is actually. Give me 2 seconds here.
Because I was going to say
that game is at Trumbull.
It's at Trumbull. I want to give a quick shout out to Danbury finishing undefeated at home last night. That was their last home game last night. Big win for them, for Danbury. How about them finishing undefeated at home? That's a good year for the Hatters.
And Danbury cannot jump over Trinity Catholic. If Trinity Catholic loses to Stanford, very possible.
Very possible, yeah.
Danbury could jump up into the 2 seed.
Okay.
So they both have similar records right now. Trinity Catholic holding the tiebreaker there. But all right, you've got 2 days remaining in that season now. By the end of tomorrow night, every FCX team will have finished their season schedule. Of the 3 schools, who's in, who's out?
Wilton's in. Wilton's in. Danbury's going to beat Trumbull, and that's who Wilton needs. They need Danbury to beat Trumbull. Wilton's getting in.
Okay, but Central at McMahon.
So if Central wins that game, say this.
Let's say, okay, so if Trumbull and Wilton wins, Trumbull and Central lose, Central is out.
Ooh. Oh, that's right, because of the tiebreakers.
Yes.
Oh, man. This is
I'm asking you, who's the team that's out? You told me Wilton is in. Either Trumbull or Central is out. Who's out?
Central.
Wow. I don't think Trumbull beats Danbury. I'm sorry.
Wilton's getting in. They're going to find a way to get in.
You know what? I take it back. Wilton's out. Danbury or Trumbull, Central in. All three of them end up losing. What do you think about that one?
That's fair. I mean, listen. I think at the end of the day, it's gonna be a wild finish. I mean, you look at tomorrow night. Eyes are going to be peeled everywhere around FCAC boys basketball. That fight for the last spot. All three teams. It's going to be interesting to see who gets in. It's going to be a wild night.
It's already gotten wild.
Yeah, true.
It's going to be wild tonight from Ludlow High. We've got the girls basketball semifinals. 6 o'clock tip for the first game. Ward and Wilton, 7:45 for Trumbull and Stanford. Kevin and I are on the air at 5:50. We'll see you then on the HAN Network.
Tigers, #1 seed.